Welcome to the latest Wrestle Carnival preview show. Today we're going to be previewing Carnival Mania, Sunday the 14th of November from the Portland Centre in Nottingham. And today I've got the pleasure of being joined by Dan and Andy from the Tea and Tights podcast. Guys, thank you for joining me today for the special preview show. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for having us on. I'm just really excited to be here and talk about such a great promotion right now.
Absolutely. Really good, thank you, and thank you for having us.
No, you're very, very welcome. And I know that you guys have had Gary on your show. Really, really great guy. I'm sure he won't mind us saying that. But like I say, Gary's put together a fantastic card, another fantastic card. Personally, I'm still reeling from the main event of Wrestle Carnival Pure, the fantastic main event between Ridgeway and John Gresham last month. But we're here to talk about 8 fantastic matches that are on offer. The latest offering, Carnival Mania. And from the Portland Centre, they're home in Nottingham, of course. But guys, before we get stuck into each of the 8 matches, are there any matches in particular that standing out to you that you're particularly looking forward to either previewing today or watching yourself on VOD? Dan, I'll start with yourself.
It's got to be the obvious one for me. It's got to be Ridgeway versus Akira. Ridgeway has been building and building through the previous matches at Wrestle Carnival and all over the UK. But having watched this weekend's ICW show on the network with Akira versus Ian Skinner, I cannot wait to see what he and Ridgeway can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to agree with that one. And Andy, what about yourself?
I will say it is the same because, I mean, if you've listened to our show, we've never been shy about complimenting Chris Ridgeway. We're huge fans. He I see him as the best British technical wrestler in Britain right now. And so his match with Akira, again, somebody I've always looked forward to seeing. I never had the AJPW one, so I was always an NJPW, but I kept hearing about him, so it's just so glad to see him here in the UK.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I'll actually be speaking to Francesco Akira on my podcast later on in the week. But let's have a look at the first match on our list. And it's going to be Joe See Me, the fan that won the gauntlet match at show number 1, teaming up with Lion Kid and Mr. Charles Crowley. So a bit of a handicap match. It's a bit of a story between Lion Kid and Mr. Charles Crowley. I know the three of us were at their first show back in August, which doesn't seem that long ago, to be honest with you, but August the 1st in the Portland Centre. And of course, during that, the gauntlet match, the Carnival gauntlet match, there was a time during the match when Lion Kid and Charles Crowley were in the ring together. And unfortunately, Charles Crowley unmasked Lion Kid, but Lion Kid came back the following show and regained his mask, and it was like a bit of an uncaged animal, and really tore into Charles Crowley like he'd never before, and regained his mask. But this is a bit of a culmination of that storyline with the inclusion of Joe See Me, who actually won that Carnival gauntlet match in show number 1. And we've seen a bit of Joe See Me scattered throughout the first 3 Wrestle Carnival shows. But a bit of a handicap match. And I think that after Wrestle Carnival Pure, I actually spoke to Charles Crowley backstage. He's very, very angry, very, very upset. Feels it is a bit of a conspiracy by Wrestle Carnival management against him, especially with the way that after being pinned in only 3 seconds by a man like Darius in the Strongman Gauntlet at Wrestle Carnival Pure last month, and then having to be carried out of the ring backstage by security, he feels there's a bit of a conspiracy against him. He went on social media afterwards, demanded a match for the next show. And this is the match that he got. And some might say that he's got a point by being put in a 2-on-1 handicap match. But Dan, I'm going to start with yourself. Any thoughts on this one? It should be quite an interesting encounter.
It may not be the match he wanted, but it's definitely the match he deserves. I love Joe See Me. He's so hench. I think he's absolutely fantastic. And I thoroughly enjoy watching him wrestle. Charles Crowley is, for me, probably the standout up-and-comer this year for all of BritWres. He has come miles over the course of this year. He's appeared on so many shows, and he can do it all. He can manage, he can interview, he can host, and he can definitely wrestle, and we will get to see that because Lion Kid is so quick. It'll be interesting to see how he copes with the speed.
Oh, 100%. And yes, I agree with all your sentiments regarding Charles Crowley, and such a phenomenal athlete and character. He's pretty much turned into the total package on the UK indie scene. But Andy, any thoughts on these three or this 2-on-1 encounter?
I'm 99% sure that is John Cena. Definitely 100%. I'm just like 99% sure. We saw him on that first, and definitely the 5 moves of doom. There's no one that can do it like that. It has to be
no
John Cena.
I think you've got a point.
Lion Kid is he's almost mythical in British wrestling. He's because he's been around for so long. He's just always made a name for himself out there. He's super talented. He's agile as a cat, super athletic, and as you say, all that experience. But then you have the devious one, the carnival twat himself, Mr. Charles Crowley. I definitely agree with your sentiments. He has really he shined everywhere he's gone, but he's also complained at a conspiracy everywhere he's gone. So I'm beginning to wonder if he is the conspiracy himself.
Interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got a trick or two up them sleeves of his, and definitely going to be interesting to see how that match unfolds for sure. And I'm going to be keeping one eye on Joe See Me, because during the last show, Wrestle Carnival Pure, he did show some heel tendencies. So it'll be interesting to see the dynamics between him and Lion Kid as they go 2-on-1 against Charles Crowley. So that's definitely one to look out for. Let's talk about the second match on the card, and it's a 6-woman tag. Ryu and Heidi Katrina Visage going up against Gia Adams, Giselle Shaw, and Alexis Falcon. So 6 of the finest UK wrestlers, you could say, all in the same match here. Lots of pedigree and credentials, both in the UK and internationally. This is quite a fascinating match. You've got some debuts there as well, including Visage, Gia Adams making their debut for Wrestle Carnival against the other 4 in the ring that have made several appearances for Wrestle Carnival. But a very interesting match. Lots of different personalities and types in the ring, and should lead to some interesting dynamics and matchups as well. But Dan, over to yourself. Any thoughts on this 6-woman tag?
I'm thinking that Visage, Heidi Katrina, and Riho are a strong, powerful team. They are 3 big performers, and they will be able to definitely throw some ladies around the ring. I'd like to wish Zoe Lucas well. She's had to pull out, and that's why we've got Gia Adams in, and I hope that she is well and will be back soon. And yeah, all in all, I love this match. I've loved the storyline before with Giselle Shaw and Heidi Katrina.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that continuing. And it's just a chance to see some of the best British wrestlers going.
Absolutely. You mentioned about the strong team of Rio, Heidi Katrina and Visage, but Gia Adams, the replacement for Zoe Lucas, she is a pretty phenomenal and strong athlete in that ring. So it'll be interesting to see. She could be the power of that team anyway. But Andy, any thoughts on this one?
I mean, Giselle Shaw is likely to be the best technical female wrestler in the UK currently. She is phenomenal. I love watching Giselle Shaw perform every time I see her. She's just so fluid in the ring, and I'm sure that's going to shine here. Gia Adams, as you say, she is a powerhouse, and it's going to be great to see her go against the powerhouses of Heidi Katrina and Riho, who are just amazing. Rio, of course, has that true technical, legit fighting background. Heidi Katrina, of course, she's an Amazon. Visage is amazing. I'm surprised it's taken this long to get Visage into Carnival Mania. I hope to see her bring her lip sync battle to the Wrestle Carnival at some point, because I think they'll just suit so well, and she is such a great performer. And yeah, this match is going to be phenomenal. We haven't even mentioned Alexis Falcon, and how good has she been recently? Just again, she's exploded on the scene right now, and yeah, you've got 6 of the best right there.
Yeah, 100%. And it'll be my first encounter of actually seeing Visage in the ring, in the flesh. I did actually see Alexis Falcon and Gia Adams. They teamed together at TMT Extreme Fields last Saturday, and that was a great match that they put on. So it'd be good to see those two again in the same team. So they know each other very, very well. But yeah, definitely a very, very interesting encounter for sure. Can't wait to see that one. Let's talk about this one. This is the match I've got right up there as far as matches I'm most looking forward to. It is a 4-way match. You got Man Like Darius versus Adam Bolt versus just Joe Lando, and versus Danny Black, the fourth piece of the puzzle there. This is a 4-way match. And of course, Joe Lando back after being the first person to pull off the first ever victory at Wrestle Carnival all the way back in August the 1st, in that very first match. And one of his opponents on that day was Danny Black, and Danny Black's going to be teaming against him, or in one of the 4-way opponents. Man Like Darius put in a really, really impressive effort at Wrestle Carnival Pure last month, and Adam Bolt, a real fiery effort when he teamed with Riley Nova last month against Powerhouse Blake and Will Cruz. That was a hell of a match, hell of a tag team match. But these 4 very, very fast-paced, very, very explosive, exciting wrestlers on the UK scene, blink and you will miss it. This match will go 100 miles an hour. Dan, over to you. Give us your thoughts on these 4.
You're going to get a crick in your neck from looking up so much at the high flying in this match.
Yeah, your eyes are going to be going all over the place as well.
Big time. This is a throwback to that first match, and we were chatting recently about our favourite matches of the year, and my favourite match of the year so far, probably as much so because I was there, was that first match from Wrestle Carnival. I think this is going to be a throwback to it. Joe Lando's doing things at the moment that nobody should be able to do. I think it's just a matter of time before he goes international with his high flying. I really, really do. Danny Black, again, is just incredible. Thoroughly enjoyed him. Man Like Darius, I think, is going to be the surprise element here. I think he is going to do very, very well for himself. And I think people are going to possibly underestimate how he's going to react with these high flyers.
Yeah, absolutely. And Man Like Darius, when he was at Wrestle Carnival Pure last month, he was the full package on the mic, between the ropes. Can't wait to see him again. But Andy, your thoughts on these 4 individuals? And yeah, like I say, this is going to be one of those matches that's going to be high on everybody's list.
No one gets a show hype like Man Like Darius on the mic. He is phenomenal. He, as you just mentioned, he is the pure hybrid here. So he's bringing an element that I think the strength. He's going to bring this power element that the likes of Adam Bolt, Just Joe Lando, and Danny Black will struggle against, because Man Like Darius, although maybe tad behind in pace and high flying, he is so fast himself. He is so agile himself. His 450 is phenomenal. Just Joe Lando, of course, if you actually think back to that first match, he stole the victory from Danny Black, because Danny Black had just hit his 450 elbow on Callum Newman, and then Joe Lando hit his shooting star elbow into Danny Black and covered Newman for the win. So that's going to be a really interesting element to the match.
Yeah, nice little thread. But definitely for anybody that loves the high-flying, fast-paced match, this is one that you will be looking forward to as much as I will be on Sunday, the 14th of November from the Portland Centre. We spoke about some great matches already. This one has to be at the top of many people's lists. Sean Custom, Nathan Cruz, Miles Kamen versus Will Cruz, Powerhouse Blake and Brady Phillips. We spoke about with the women's six-man tag earlier, there being a lot more of a powerhouse team. And I think you've probably got the powerhouse team there over on the right with Will Cruz, Powerhouse Blake, and Brady Phillips. But don't underestimate Sean Custom, Nathan Cruz, Miles Kamen. I've got to say, saw Miles came in for the first time in Liverpool last weekend. Very, very impressed with him, both in the ring and on the microphone. A star for the future. But as for the team on the left, Custom, Nathan Cruz and Miles Kamen, all making their Wrestle Carnival debuts. So that will be quite an interesting element to see how they acclimatise. But I'm sure with the experience in that team, they will very, very quickly. Dan, over to you. This is going to be a phenomenal match. What are your thoughts on this one going into it?
Will Cruz and Powerhouse Blake have almost been like the bullies of the carnival. They're definitely the strong men, but they have been throwing their weight around, and there is considerable weight there. I'm liking the addition of Brady Phillips to them, and I think he will work well with them, and I think they will absolutely destroy the possibly more popular team of Sean Custom, Nathan Cruz, and Miles Kamen.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, I mean, having recently had Will Cruz on my show, I'm kind of a firm believer that he's capable of destroying absolutely anybody. But I mean, you know, the credentials are there on the other team of Custom, Cruz, and Kamen. Andy, your thoughts?
Well, yeah, Nathan Cruz is the experience here, so he can be the X factor, if you like, for the Custom Kamen team. Now, if I'm right, I think Nathan Cruz actually trained Miles Kamen. I think Miles Kamen is now part of the second to none faction alongside Cruz. So they're going to have a bit of teamwork together. They're going to know each other well. And then, but as you mentioned, the other side, look at the side. These are all monsters.
Oh, yeah.
We first introduced to Brady Phillips.
It's phenomenal to think that Brady Phillips, as big of a guy that he is, he's the smallest of the three. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, we saw him at the opening show against Charlie Sterling, and what an incredible match. Two huge guys that moved around so well for their size. And yeah, I think I like Brady Phillips. I'm a big fan already. One match, I was a big fan.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Let's talk about this one then. Jay Joshua versus Elijah. So neither of these two men are strangers to a Wrestle Carnival ring. Jay Joshua, this will be his third outing in a Wrestle Carnival show. Of course, in show number 1, he faced Ridgeway in a really, really strong submissions match. And then he faced Joe Hendry last month in another really, really strong match. Going up against Elijah, who was one of the 5, or was it 6 individuals in the Carnival Gauntlet match in show number 1 back in August. But both individuals looking for their first Wrestle Carnival victory. So you've got contrasting styles here. Jay Joshua definitely more the submission specialist, more the striker. Elijah more into his maybe a little bit fast paced and a little bit more power. But these two athletes, I don't think there's much between them, I think, as far as ability, and it'll be interesting to see where this one goes. Dan, I'll be interested to know your thoughts on this one.
I've been enjoying watching Elijah's work in progress. I think he's been doing really, really well with Mr. Charles Crowley. And I think that while Jay Joshua may have slightly more power than Elijah, I think Elijah will be able to possibly wrap him up in some good ground-based wrestling. Jay Joshua has proven himself on the ground against Chris Ridgeway and against Joe Hendry, as you mentioned. I think it's just going to be absolutely awesome to see this match.
Absolutely. Andy, your thoughts?
Big fan of Jay Joshua. I love the current renaissance of heavyweight British wrestlers. There just seems to be so many more than there ever used to be, and Jay Joshua fits right in there. But what he showed in that Ridgeway match is he's not your typical big man. He is a phenomenal technical worker. I expect this match to be stiff, and it should be fun to watch. And Elijah, as we just mentioned, he's got some of the most high-impact moves out there. And so, yeah, this is just going to be stiff, high impact. This can be fun.
Oh, looking forward to this one. Yep, the more we talk about it, the more into that match I am. But speaking of matches that we're all looking forward to, how about this one, gentlemen? Lana Austin versus Alex Windsor. So Lana Austin making her Wrestle Carnival debut. Alex Windsor coming out with a lot of momentum from Wrestle Carnival Pure, having defeated Jordan Grace, of course. It's what some might say was a surprising victory, but a very, very good and well-earned victory, I have to say. And Lana Austin, when you talk about some of the best workers, some of the best female wrestlers in the country, Lana Austin is nearly always on everybody's list, or certainly in the top 5 of most people's. But having these two in the ring together, I think we're going to have a hell of a battle and a real kind of showcase of brilliant UK female wrestling. And as we head into next year, looking ahead in January, Gary's already announced Carnival of Champions, where they're going to have a tournament to crown the first ever men's champion and a tournament to crown the first ever women's champion. You've got to say that the winner of this match between Austin and Windsor will certainly have all the momentum going into 2022 and all the momentum going into that championship tournament. Dan?
Without a doubt, and I've got my front row tickets booked. I am really looking forward to this match. I wasn't expecting Alex Windsor to win against Jordan Grace. I really wasn't. And I was thrilled because I genuinely, throughout the match, couldn't decide who was going to win. I'd gone in thinking it was already, she's come all the way over. She's going to be, it was amazing. It was a great, great match. And really I think Lana Austin will be able to give good competition to Alex Windsor, but I think Alex Windsor is going to be going in strong. And I think Alex Windsor will do well in this match.
Interesting. Another one of those matches that be hard to pick for sure. But Andy, give us your thoughts. Be very interested to know your thoughts on these two opponents and how do you think the match might go?
I mean, Lana Austin is one of the most experienced female workers out there. She's an incredible worker. She's one of the top women to work with. She's been everywhere. She's worked in every promotion across the UK. She is just amazing. It's difficult to understand why she's never, but it's because she's just so good. Alex Windsor is another one. Again, so much experience behind her. And then, of course, she had that injury a little while ago. Then, of course, there was COVID, so that delayed her return further. And watching her match, her first match against Hyan, and how the smile on her face as she was competing, you could see how much she loved wrestling. And I'll always support anybody that loves wrestling that much. And again, just phenomenal worker, one of the best in the UK. I think she's about to explode as champion across the UK.
Interesting, yeah. But like I say, having recently returned from a 2-year layoff and that horrible knee injury Alex Windsor had, and then of course her return was delayed thanks to COVID. But this will be a match, if you're a fan of women's wrestling or wrestling in general, that you have to watch on Sunday the 14th of November from the Portland Centre for sure. And like I say, the winner of this match will almost certainly have the momentum going into that championship tournament in January. Speaking of momentum coming out of the match, we got to talk about these two. Many might say that this could be the co-main event. Certainly in my eyes, I'm a huge fan of these two. I know that you two gentlemen are as well. Francesco Akira, former All Japan Pro Wrestling World Junior Heavyweight Champion, has recently made his return back over here in Europe and more importantly to the UK against Chris Ridgeway. But what a mouth-watering match this is. This will be Ridgeway's 4th match on the bounce for Wrestle Carnival. Of course, he's had some amazing wins against Jay Joshua and Carlos Romo. And last month, of course, it was that amazing main event match against Jonathan Gresham, which led to a no contest in the end, but to one of the best matches you're likely to see this year. Well, what can you say? These two, I think, are going to give each other a hell of a match. I think that Ridgeway is probably going to give Akira quite possibly the hardest match he's had in a long time, possibly for all of his professional career. But I think Francesco Akira, having spent 2 years in Japan, might be a bit of an unknown quantity to Ridgeway and might have a few tricks and surprises up his sleeve. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes. This is going to be the first time that these two have touched in the ring. So a real mouth-watering encounter we have at hand here. But Dan, Francesco Akira versus Chris Ridgeway, not forgetting this is a submissions match as well.
Oh, yes. And we all know how good Chris Ridgeway is at his submissions. I was watching Akira's match against Ian Skinner on ICW this week, and it reminded me of just how fantastically rounded Akira is. His speed, his strikes, and his submissions are just fantastic. And that butterfly finisher that he does is just stunning. Ridgeway, what can you say that hasn't been said? He is probably the top British independent wrestler as far as submissions go. He's possibly the top British independent wrestler as far as striking goes. He's probably the top British independent wrestler, full stop.
I would agree with you at the moment. I really would. Absolutely. From everything I've seen. Andy, would you agree?
Yeah, Chris Ridgeway is main event talent, and he should be treated as such across the board. He's so good, as Dan just said, about so many things that make him so good in the ring. What I love about it is how real he feels in the ring. He just really has an element of, is he really beating the crap out of him? Yes, he is. I mean, you see the way he gets in the ring, especially when he goes with his Northwest Strong guys, and you see the guys just batter each other each and every time they get in the ring. And, they're close friends. They've been friends for quite a while. But Chris Ridgeway, I'm sure he knows pretty much everything about Akira. Again, he's a student of wrestling, a student of the game. Although Akira, of course, was in AJPW for that time, Ridgeway, of course, was in Noah for a good 6-month period. Again, he came back. He's even better than he was, thanks to that little spell. Akira, I just watched the WXW on demand. It's now just on the network. It was him versus Axel Tisca versus Tristan Arch. I've forgotten who the fourth one was, but just an absolute phenomenal match. At one point, he literally, as they were kind of lined up in a row, he walked over 2 people to deliver a Hurricane Rana to the third opponent, and it was just, Wrestle Carnival are really going to be in for a treat here, because this is just going to have everything, it all from the mad agility of Akira to the strong style of Japan. It's going to be good.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Go on.
I do feel that Wrestle Carnival have, out of the gate, given us the best matches in British wrestling. They are a new company, as we know. We're only on show 4. But who else is able to give us the shows that Wrestle Carnival are giving us at the moment?
Oh, 100% from top to bottom.
Talent pulled in. I love the fact that it's not just he brings in some local guys, but then he's bringing in guys from the north, he's bringing in guys from the south, from the east and the west. He's not, and it's just such great to see.
It's not a regional promotion,
so much
is it?
talent.
It really
Exactly.
is a nationwide promotion already, and some might say possibly an international promotion, especially with some of the talent they've brought in, and some of the big plans they've got for 2022, I'm sure. But this Akira versus Ridgeway, wow, hold on to your hats. I think the fans are going to blow the roof off that Portland Centre on Sunday, the 14th of November. Speaking of blowing the roof off the Portland Centre, this match could very well do that all by itself. What I'm considering to be the main event, the answer, Joe Hendry versus the ambassador, Doug Williams, in an ROH Pure Rules match. So we saw Doug Williams in the second show, Carnival of Honor, back in September, defeat, very cleverly, I might add, Dean Allmark in the first Pure Rules match to be hosted over here in the UK for many years. And directly after the match, the answer, Joe Hendry, came out and challenged Doug to a match. this very match at Carnival Mania. And wow, I mean, of course, both gentlemen very familiar with Ring of Honor, and of course, Doug Williams being a former Ring of Honor Pure Rules champion, and of course, with Joe Hendry spending many months over in the States for Ring of Honor up until the pandemic, of course. But they're both very well versed in kind of the more strong style of wrestling and the more submission ground-based wrestling. They could do pretty much everything. Remember, you've got the added rules and the added element of the pure rules. So some interesting dynamics here, some interesting elements to think about. But I think the answer, Joe Hendry, is a different type of Joe Hendry to what we've ever seen before. And the added strength, the added kind of attitude and demeanor, that could be the winning element at the end of the day. But Doug Williams, probably the most experienced pro wrestler in the UK right now. Yes, what he doesn't know about professional wrestling and pure rules wrestling is probably not worth knowing about. But Dan, I'm going to hand it over to you. Talk to us about your thoughts and feelings about this main event.
I've loved it since Doug Williams came back. I've been lucky enough to see him wrestle a couple of times. And yes, he may not be quite as quick as he was, but he doesn't need to be. No. He can still put on holds and put people in holds and do moves with such fluidity, such grace that you don't even see them coming. And his competitors really struggle with the experience and power that Doug Williams has. But Joe Hendry is not short of power.
Certainly not nowadays, no.
No, he's not. He's ripped. He's not short of experience either. So I think that this match is going to be fairly equal, and I wouldn't be able to guess who was going to come out on top here.
Yeah. Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Hendry, as you say, this isn't the Joe Hendry we saw pre-pandemic. This is a 240-pound beast, Joe Hendry. And I think what a lot of people tend to forget with Hendry, because he's so entertaining, he's so strong, is he's got that background in freestyle amateur wrestling, picking up gold medals, I think, at a national level, was it?
Didn't he represent Scotland in the Commonwealth Games as well?
He did.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's just phenomenal. And as he's added size, his strength, he's really going to be a full package wrestler. Doug Williams, what can you say again? He is the ambassador for a reason. He's phenomenal in all styles of British wrestling. He was brought up in that era, just sort of like as WOS was mixing with some of the American formalities. But he was the fourth ROH Pure champion back in the day. I think he was the fourth one to hold it. And I love Pure Rules matches. Dan will tell you, any listeners will tell you that I love the rules in wrestling. I think all promotions need to stress rules to wrestlers. So yes, Pure Rules for me, brilliant. Especially the free rope break. That's one of my favorite rules in all of wrestling. Free rope breaks, and then that's it.
Yeah, and for anybody that saw Doug Williams' match against Dean Allmark at Carnival of Honor in September will know that the rules do play a very, very important part in pure rules matches, the rope breaks in particular, and you have to have your wits about you. And like I say, Doug Williams, being an exceptionally smart wrestler, took advantage of those rules to gain victory over Dean Allmark at Carnival of Honor. But I think these two wrestlers, two of the best in the country, two of the best in the world, dare I say, we're going to put on a clinic on Sunday, the 14th of November at the Portland Centre. Guys, we've discussed what should be a phenomenal card. 8 matches at Wrestle Carnival, Carnival Mania. I don't think there's a bad match on the card. I think we agree that I don't think Wrestle Carnival have put on a bad match so far. This is their 4th outing. But we spoke earlier about the matches that are standing out to you. I think having discussed all 8 matches, I'm even more excited for the event. Dan, just give us a quick overview again of kind of the matches we've discussed and kind of some of the really standout matches and some of the opponents that you're looking forward to seeing.
Standout matches for me, we've already discussed Akira and Ridgeway, but I think one of the sort of the big ones for me that could steal the show is going to be Rio Visage and Heidi Katrina versus Giselle Shaw Alexis Falcon and Gia Adams. I think that could steal the show. I think that'll be a really great match to watch. And any match that Danny Black's in, you've got to pay attention to, because if you blink, you will miss it.
Absolutely. I mean, myself, I'm really looking forward to the 6-man tag with Will Cruz and Powerhouse Blake. And yeah, I mean, that's going to be a phenomenal match. Really, really is. But Andy, what about yourself?
It's the singles matches. Anybody, again, if they'll tell you, I much prefer these one-on-one contests. So Lana Austin versus Alex Windsor, for me, I think is going to be one of those that a lot of people aren't going to be like, but they really should be so excited for that match. It is going to be incredible. Hendry versus Williams, we just mentioned it. Wow. Ridgeway, Akira, Jay Joshua versus Elijah. These are the matches I'm really looking forward to. These are going to be great. They're going to be hard. All of them hard hitting as well. They're just going to be. It's going to be great.
Absolutely.
Love this card.
Yeah, and if you're going to be down in Nottingham on Sunday, the 14th of November, you're certainly in for a treat. I believe tickets are still available, and I believe you'll be able to get your ticket on the door if you're interested in going down to the Portland Centre on Sunday, the 14th, to see this phenomenal card, Carnival Mania. But guys, we're nearly at the end of this preview show for Carnival Mania, Wrestle Carnival's latest show. But I'm sure you want to kind of let our viewers and listeners know where they can find you on your Tea and Tights podcast. So I'll hand it over to you for the plugs.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Of course, we are Tea and Tights, a Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling. You can find us on the Johners Podcasting Network. We are part of the team. We love being part of the team. There are so many great podcasts that you have there. There's so much knowledge to pull from so many different people. You can find us on the bodyslam.net YouTube. We have our own channel on that as well. If you look the entire podcast, we finally have our own little channel on their channel, which is absolutely fantastic. They've been a great support to us. Our Facebook, our Twitter is at Tea and Tights Pod, nice and simple. And our next show, we've got a huge announcement coming for our next show. So do check in with us on either our YouTube or on our Johners, where we are on Spotify.
There we go. Absolutely. But gentlemen, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, previewing what's going to be a fantastic 8-match card from Wrestle Carnival, Carnival Mania. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see all the fans down there as well. So if you're coming along to the Portland Centre in Nottingham on Sunday, the 14th of November, we look forward to seeing you there. But Dan, Andy, thank you very much for coming along today.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, cheers.